Good morning and happy day. Happy Saturday. It's Saturday morning. It was raining yesterday, a whole day here in Florida, but today is sunny and beautiful as usual. And I have a beautiful guest with me today. I will introduce her or let her introduce herself. Again, this is a cultural awareness episodes, cultural competence for people, for organization leaders looking to enhance their cultural intelligence, awareness, so that they can increase productivity, harmony, and team performance. And I have Jurat with me today. She is from a country called Lithuania. And in their native language, they call it Lietuva. So she's going to tell us all about her country and how do we do business, what do we need to look out for, do's, don'ts, and guide us through the basics. Obviously, whatever we speak about, they will be the basics because people are different, but this is the national culture and general information about Lithuania. Good morning, Jurat.
Good morning. How are you, Mona?
Good. How are you? I made a comment that you look beautiful like a goddess this morning, and you are representing your country well. So go ahead, and tell us. A lot of people maybe have not heard about Lithuania or don't know where is it located. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Okay. So Lithuania is a small country, and people who know and like basketball most know about it. Since we're big on basketball, and Lithuanian basketball team is one of the best in the world. We always compete. For those who do not know Lithuania is known as a Baltic state, or rather one of the first countries that exited USSR and the regime in a while back now. So it is located in the center of Europe, although it is considered Eastern Europe because of the way the countries are are situated. But center of Europe, there is a debate between countries, where is the center of Europe, in Lithuania or in Poland? So there is this going on, depends how we look at Europe and the maps. However, it is more of the Central Europe than Eastern. It is part of the three countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, that we stood as three Baltic states that stood against the regime of communism a while back. And I still remember that, since I did live back then. And I was around 12 years old at the time when that happened. Since we did not have a strong military as a country, we had our own unity and our own bodies to protect our borders. And that's what we did. We had a peaceful line. And I'm telling you about all of this because this greatly describes the Lithuanian national character. We stand for unity, and our essentially slogan is the strength is in our unity. Because that's what we are. We're a small country, but we have a power of character, power of integrity. It is also part of it's a small country, around 3 million people total. So it's probably a size of a large city in the United States. But that's what we have. What else I wanted to say? Oh, okay. Through the centuries, I'm going to give a little bit of history, and the character sort of was shaped by the history because we are located in the center of Europe, and we're surrounded by many countries, well, several countries that are, and been fighting between each other. We often been in the middle of those fights of the fighting nations when. Western part of Eastern, they start fighting, we are in the middle. So we have developed a Lithuanian national character of ability to be a mediator, or rather be able to, be diplomatic with both sides and not really get into much of the either side taking. We've been between the Germany and Russia. We also got, taken by Germany, taken by Russia. It's been a history of all kinds. In the 13th century, we've been also a large country. What used to be called Rzeczpospolita. And again, it depends which country you're reading history of. It shapes a little bit of the events of how it took place. If you're reading, it was part of the Prussia, Russia. and also Poland was part of the whole kingdom. And it was formed by the marrying kings and queens from two different countries, which were large enough as a military way of, essentially broaden up and make it bigger and stronger as a country at the time. And so, again, so there is a lot of cultural, mergence between the countries because of that. There's a lot of values that are into all these countries, the Eastern Bloc and Lithuania included, although we do have a very specific Lithuanian language.
Yes.
And we did hold that strong as part of our identity. It's Lithuanian language, and it is similar to Sanskrit. It is not Slavic, although most people of my age do speak Russian and also English and some other languages as well. But those two are pretty commonly spoken. So if you speak any of those two, you're not going to have any issues going to Lithuania. So that's
Well, thank you for
pretty
sharing
much. I
that.
gave you quite a bit.
A lot of information. When did you leave? At what age did you leave Lithuania?
I was 19 when
Oh.
I left Lithuania. Yes, I was 19. I came on my own. That's one of the character, I guess, of Lithuanians as well. We're very independent. And, yeah.
we were actually talking. How about we start talking about this now? Because
Yeah.
we were talking, and you said we have the women rule around here, and they have the final say. So you just got up and picked up your bag and say, "Okay, bye-bye, I'm leaving." Talking about the women character, and their place in society in Lithuania.
Yeah. So there was a shock, sort of a shocking surprise to me when I came to United States that in here women are considered like, I'm in science myself, and I always loved science, and we've been known as, women are better at math, they were better in science than men in Lithuania. And here I was like, women are worse. I was like, what the heck? There's absolutely zero gender difference, right? So I realized there is no gender difference. Really, psychology showed that, time and time again. However, this is one of the first signs that I actually noticed as I was a student when I came to United States of America. And I was a student back in Lithuania as well. I'm a psychologist, however, I do love the other part of the scientific part of the psychology. So in Lithuania, there is barely any gap. And I would even say Lithuanian women are there's barely power gap in Lithuania, whereas the men and women, I did not feel that at all. Lithuanian women own a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses. There is more. It varies year by year. It's pretty stable, around average, like men and women, as far as gender or leadership positions. However, we did have a Lithuanian female president. She right now is a male again, but she ran twice and she won twice. And Lithuanian women are very strong. Lithuanian men now know how to deal with a strong woman very well. Because of that, we definitely have we are allowed to do what we want to do, and the men, again, they have their own role. It's been, they definitely, there is variety in both. However, like I said, there's sort of a gender difference barely exists as far as the power is.
Okay, there has never been this gender struggle throughout the ages. Do they have to fight for it to get to this point where they're at now, or has it been always that way? Like the gender equality, or like here, seems like there's always struggle. Has it been like that all the time, or did they go through a transformation?
I feel like it was always like that. If anything, right now it's probably the Western influence probably is not helping. Lithuanian women had to be strong because they had to. There was there was a lot of wars. So there was a lot of suppression. So there was that character that was sort of embedded to us. Like we had to work hard. We definitely are hardworking people, for sure. We will never be shunned from the work. I'm never going to be a lazy nation, and that's been told in many different people who travel to Lithuania and who had worked with the Lithuanian people. So there is that that sort of characteristic that probably was bred by the again by the wars that men were taking to the military. Russian army was always seizing the men, and so women had to carry everything. And so it's sort of, I think that's sort of part of that. I don't know when it started. Can't really tell, but it was way before my time for sure.
Okay, well, this is fascinating. Now, talk to us about the weather, because the weather, to me, the weather plays a role in people's character.
Yes.
Look at how they look at life, so on and so forth, and how strong they are. Seriously, talk to us about the weather.
Yeah, very, very good point. I completely agree, actually. Because of the sun, how much sunshine you have, it depends how vibrant you are. We do have 4 seasons, so it's more like I would say like New York, United States, maybe more or less like DC area kind weather, because it's parallel in that area. So there was 4 seasons, and some winters are really cold, and some winters are not so cold, and we have beautiful, leaf changing season, as well as really ugly, watered down kind of snow on the streets. And so we have everything in there. It's 4 seasons. If you want to travel there, I would definitely do not. Although it's beautiful in winter, and I love winter, but there's some winters so cold that it's really difficult to get to places, and you end up, it snows, a lot, so it's difficult. So I would definitely recommend traveling more in the summer or in the fall, like most of the Europe anyway. Okay. Those are beautiful times. We do have a little bit more of the Nordic, I would say, character, which is a little bit colder. When you first meet, it's a little bit more formal. But we warm up really quickly, and we're very, very hospitable nation. Very hospitable nation.
We will get to this right now, because we want to dive in a little bit more into people, culture. And what should we do when we meet people from Lithuania? So I'll start with the directness. How straightforward do people typically communicate in your country?
Very straightforward.
Straightforward. So if anything bothers them, they will tell you. They won't sugarcoat it or anything, and you shouldn't be offended, right?
Yes, actually, sugarcoating and being fake is being fake. Essentially, it's considered, when you're sugarcoating things, it's just a waste of time. So they will go move on. So yes, you don't want that.
Like it is, but obviously in a polite way.
In a polite way. Yes.
In a polite way, and nothing is taken personal.
Yes, it's considered respect.
Respect. Very good. So if you're listening, don't try to sugarcoat. Don't try to be fake with Lithuanian. Just say it like it is. Let's go to the next one. Enthusiasm. Obviously, that depends on regions. How much positive emotion and energy do they typically show?
I am more of an outlier, I would say, in Lithuania. So I show a lot of enthusiasm. Not common. Not common.
Maybe because you lived in Florida for a while.
But I think I was similar. That's why I probably ended up in Florida. It's not common. Not common. You do see like sort of a straight face a lot, like what similar to Russian, I guess, a little bit more demeanor. You would see a little bit more of that.
So how do we get them to react to our funny ways or our emotion, positive emotion, I would say?
They do react. There's a lot of jokes. Lithuanians love telling jokes, and their humor is not necessarily this a little bit more like a British humor. I understand very well British humor because of Lithuanian humor. My dad is a big, a joke teller, and jokes are even common in business meetings even.
Oh, okay, good to know. Formalities. How much deference and respect do people typically demonstrate?
It is. So as far as formality, if you're going into the meeting, there is distinct difference. When you are going into the meeting, it's going to be more formal. It's going to be, like I said, direct. very, like oriented, very intentional. Here, so an informality will be not too sleazy, but it's going to be direct enough, and at the same time, it's going to be respectful for the knowledge and whatever the meeting is. Now, if you are going into outside, even the same circle, if you are going outside and having dinner, that is, we rarely do meetings and during the around dinners. It's always around round table, or if you do virtual, that's a different story. But dinner is something more leisurely and casual. That's when you get to know them. That's when you get to know their family. That's what they're going to get to know you. And that's not formal then. Then you can really see the character, but it's not going to be brought into the business directly.
Got it. So the business, let's go back to this point, because I just want to make sure we understand it well. If we want to invite a client from Lithuania, do we take them out to lunch or dinner? Which one is preferred? Number one.
Lunch, because it's the Europe. So our dinners are like suppers. So our largest meal is dinner time.
Dinner time mostly dedicated to families, and lunch will be preferred for business.
Yeah, well, we don't eat large dinners.
Okay.
We just don't. We have very light dinners. So in the evening, usually people go out to a bar or a movie or a theater, but it's a very, very light meal. The largest meals are 2 o'clock in the daytime, 2 to 3 o'clock.
Okay. So during lunch, obviously invitation or business lunch, we don't discuss anything about business. We get to know the person, right?
Yeah, I would. It depends how where it's coming from. The invitation, I would actually not go into inviting Lithuanian people to lunch or dinner prior to discussing and finalizing the business. It's sort of like a celebration more.
Okay. So take care of the business
First.
Deal first.
Yeah.
And after that, invite them as a sign of a celebration.
Right. And they most likely going to do that themselves. And invite you and show that those win. It is in Lithuania.
Okay, very good, very good. Let's go back to that point where you mentioned about formalities. Is there a hierarchy as far as titles?
The hierarchy is it's not military. Like it doesn't. It's not felt.
Okay.
It is more of responsibility driven.
Got it.
Yeah. So similar goes to the gender difference, and similar goes to the rank difference. You are getting your rank because of your experience, and it sort of gives you that, but you are not veneered, so to speak. You are not looked up to something to overpass. It's more human.
The next one may be assertiveness, and probably will be indirectly attached to directness. How strongly do people typically voice their opinions?
There is a generational difference in that.
Okay.
And I think it has to do with upbringing. It has probably also Western influence, and again, we have also a large difference here between generations as well. I think that's pretty much the same as here. Would be a little bit more pronounced in the younger generation, and the older generation would be a little bit more restricted.
Restricted and reserved.
Older meaning, some 50, 60 years old kind of,
How about self-promotion? And that's something that we're not common. You don't talk about
at all. Not at all.
You don't talk about what you do. So how
it shows. You show it. You show it. There is no conversations going on like what I do. Absolutely, we do not discuss that. We do not even touch it unless somebody asks about it. It is very, very different from United States of America. It is considered like a negative.
Negative. Yeah. How about accomplishments? Let's say we don't speak about accomplishment either. Same thing.
Same thing. Yes. It shows.
Refrain from self-promotion and refrain from talking about accomplishment. If you're listening to us,
right.
That's
for sure. That's a big one. you want to show that if somebody else tells about what you have done, there's a humbleness comes back, like it's that, oh really, me kind of thing. It's a character. I can, you can do great things, but taking pride of it in a humble way. So we do not self-promote. It's and it is not considered a good thing to self-promote. Now, if you can do something for someone, that's not self-promotion. So you definitely want to collaborate and extend that collaboration. However, you do not say, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I have this accomplishment, I have this degree or that degree, because most Lithuanians have a lot of degrees. So they're not impressed by it.
Yes, I definitely know that. I've worked with, I had 4 really nice families from Lithuania, and I learned a lot from them about the culture and about how they do business. It's always good to have somebody like you on this episode to define and clearly, obviously, define what is it that we need to do and what is it that we need to refrain from when doing business with Lithuanians. And also, it is very similar to different countries. I guess we got used to it here in the U.S., but when we're dealing with people from outside of the U.S. or from different cultures, we have to be mindful that they don't do things the way we do. And probably self-promotion and talking about our accomplishment is yes, gratifying and something that everybody does here, but in other cultures, it's seen as a negative sign. You let your work show, kind of. Very good.
Your work, and there's the one thing that I would say a little bit more of something maybe could be considered negative, but this is you don't talk, like, for example, like, okay, accomplishments don't talk, you let them show. Now the achievements, as far as financial achievements, again, you don't discuss how much you don't, you don't dry up, in your brand new car, whatever that is, and you're going to show off. However, there is a splashy, sort of like flashy, not splashy, flashy way of showing of what you have is, buying designer stuff. So that, I would say, is one of the maybe sort of like influences when we just got independent and started to have all those expensive things, because before that in USSR there was just, everything was like uniform. So from that, I think it started to happen that it's, if you don't own designer stuff, you are sort of like second class.
So people they notice designer, like
labels and things,
bags, clothing, shoes, and all of that. They do notice, and that somewhat tell people the status. Is that what it is?
That's a financial status in a way.
That's financial status. That's how you show that you're affluent or whatever you're trying to show. Very interesting. Really very interesting. A personal expressiveness. How much do people typically reveal about themselves?
I think I already touched a little bit.
You already touched it on on financial. Can they talk about their personal life? I mean, they come out and talk about personal issues easily, or you really have to?
You have to really know them. You have to really know them for a while.
I notice sometimes people ask me about Americans, and I said, well, they're really friendly. I mean, you can meet a neighbor, and this first time you meet him, and he can or she can be telling you about her entire life in a matter of a half hour, and that does not happen with other cultures, and amongst them is Lithuanian. So let's say, for people and to be helpful to others or listening to us, I am meeting you for the first time. You are a potential customer, and I am trying to earn your business. How should I proceed? Step by step, what do I need to do?
So first, you have to know what it's Lithuania's value that you know about Lithuania.
Very good.
If you, in our language, a lot of people, a lot of people do not know, or a lot of people mix them or think we speak Russian and they start talking in Russian, and that upsets us.
Okay, no Russian speaking when you meet Lithuanians. Go ahead. Second one.
Right. So if you learn a few Lithuanian words, that would be very, very helpful. So one of them is really simple. It's just hi. Lithuanian word is called labas.
Labas.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. They would be loving you. So that's number one.
Oh my gosh, let me stop you here. When you said labas, did you know that we say the same thing in Morocco?
No.
Labas?
I didn't know.
Oh, now you know. Say labas, that means how are you? Labas, it's like how are you? Hi.
Yeah.
But we use
in a friendly way.
In a friendly way. We use the same word. Go ahead.
The same word. So Lithuanian language is Indo-European language. So that's probably why, because it's one of the really old languages. It's very difficult language. And it's a very complex language. So I do not recommend anybody starting to learn Lithuanian because it is a complex language. But you can learn a lot of words that are simple to say. Thank you is ačiū. Very simple, like sneezing, Ačiū. So you use ačiū. It's very simple to say. You would, in any place, even in a coffee shop or in anywhere in the store, they're gonna definitely know you have an accent. If you actually learn a few words, you're gonna get far away, far with that person when you're gonna use some Lithuanian words. And if you know about something about Lithuania, which, if you listen to this, you know a lot, and some accomplishments, which is, a lot, we are really big in sports and things like that. Some cultural stuff is really easy to find online. I'm not gonna go into that because it doesn't really go into too much in the culture and on the business, but there is a lot of things that Lithuanians are great at. And I feel it's very important for Lithuanians. There is a big pride in our own accomplishments, not part of the Russia or business or as a cultural, identity. It's really important. So such as basketball, such as, our Olympic winners and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So those are things that are really good to mention. Now, of course, if you're going to a business meeting, you have an idea what you want to do there. So it's valuable when the people know what they want and know what they offer. It's going to be met in a halfway. The Lithuanians are really good business people. They're not going to waste your time, and it's going to be very clear where you're going, and they're going to waste their own time. They're going to walk away very nicely, saying thank you, but no thank you. Yeah. So
they know what they want.
Right.
Do we ask them a lot of questions, like here? If we are dealing with people, we ask a lot of questions just to identify what the needs are. Is that something that they tell us up front, or we have to go through a process of asking a lot of questions before we get to straight answer?
You're definitely going to get straight answer what you ask. So they're very, very straightforward. But if you're not asking, maybe some information not going to be volunteered. Again, the conversation will be flowing if it's not going to be any kind of shadow conversations. And Lithuanians do laugh in their business meetings, so don't take me wrong that it's going to be just very formal and very dry conversations. There won't be. There's going to be, like I said, jokes coming and stuff like that. So that means conversation is going the right way. But in that, it's not going to be any sugarcoating. It's going to be very straightforward. So questions are welcomed. Yeah. And and they will give you a lot of questions too, for sure.
If they say no, for example, the first time, are we welcome to follow up, or when they say no is no?
If they say no is no.
Okay. No need to follow up. Is that what you're telling me?
I would say yes, because unless something changes in the situation, but if the same thing, it's please be considered kind of thing. No. Lithuanians give a lot of thought before they make a final decision.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What's the next? Anything else that we should look out for? Do, don't?
Lithuanians are very superstitious. So if you there's certain, there's a pagan backstory. Like there's a lot of, like right now, most of them are Christian, but there's a pagan culture and customs in the background of all Lithuanians. So certain things, like you do not shake your hand across the, you call them, between the doors, in the doorway, essentially. So one person's on one side of the doorway, another one is another side of the doorway, you do not shake your hands. It's a bad luck.
You enter or they come outside?
Either way, you have to be on one side.
And one side.
Yep.
Very good. Good to know. What else? I am liking this. Go ahead. What else?
There's there is some of this stuff is a little bit overlooked, but this is a big one. I think it's pretty common everywhere. Then regarding business cards, it's not as formal as the business cards like with Chinese and do, like they give you like this, a very big respect, like it's almost you carrying it. But if you put in your back pocket, it's
disrespectful.
Yes.
Yeah. So at least look at it, read what's in there, and then obviously you can put it away when time is permissible. What else?
Mm-hmm. Let me see what else I would say. I think we pretty much covered most of the things. Let me see. I had jotted.
Is there a lot of investment from Lithuanians here in the U.S.? Do they come to the U.S. and invest to business, or is it the opposite? So
opposite.
Tell us more about this.
So Lithuanians do not come as much to invest here, but there are Lithuanians here, of course, but a majority of who came here, they live here. But we have a strong root connection, so we do go back. We go back to invest.
Okay. So Lithuanians,
and we call people to invest as well. Lithuania is a really good country to invest, very advanced.
Sure. Are there a lot of government regulation, or do they make it easy for people, non-Lithuanians, to invest in Lithuania?
There are certain regulations, and they might they're changing, depends on on the government. Mm-hmm. But I'm Lithuanian citizen, so for example, I do own land. You cannot own land or real estate. Mm-hmm. Well, essentially, real estate if it's on the land. You can own an apartment and somewhere, just the piece, but you cannot own the land if you're not citizen. You have to be a citizen. Lithuanian citizenship is not very easy to get. You have to live there and you have to speak the language. So it is not something that you just go and get it. You have to live there for a while. You have to take Lithuanian language exam and obviously some other exams, but you can get it if you live there. You have to pay taxes, of course, mm-hmm. and things like that. But but you have to, if you want to have a business in Lithuania, you have to do it with Lithuanian.
Got it.
Better, sort of like a collaboration effort, unless you're doing some kind of import export, which is pretty much the same, but you can then make deals, which is the majority of what's happening. Lithuania is really technologically advanced. Okay. We actually pride ourselves with the fastest internet in Europe. They actually say in the world. I'm not sure, but it's really fastest wireless internet, speed. It's available everywhere. So you can just go anywhere and you can connect. You don't need to pay. Mm-hmm. In cafeterias and places. So we do have that. Also, they're beautiful, beautiful nature. So we have a lot of, and we love our nature.
Yes, I mentioned that. Nature lovers and animal lovers. That's what we know, right?
Animal lovers. I think it's generational situation as well. I don't know. I mean, yes, there is a lot of people who live and sort of thrive on that, on being farmers. And my grandparents were farmers, and I actually spent a lot of summers and even got a certificate or rather a diploma to be a farmer, so I can own the land that I own. But so there's a rule there as well. There's certain rules to own the land if you want to do agricultural, any kind of farming versus some other stuff. But yes, we definitely love our land. We have a lot of lakes and rivers. We have beautiful Baltic Sea, seashore. So there's a lot of tourism and going on, and there's a lot of breeding of the horses and things like that. That is popular also for investment, and people go to travel there for that. It's sort of just get yourself in nature and experience in nature, and this beauty.
Mhm.
It's very popular anytime of the year, really, because we have seasons that, and we have places that are made for those who come to just experience nature.
Very
So
good.
that is popular too. What else? We have certain like we have dairy. It's very popular. So we have our dairy industry that is pretty popular. Is being exported everywhere in the world.
Mhm. As far as accepting others,
Mhm.
acceptance of non-Lithuanians in Lithuania, how does it go there? Do you feel that there's some type of, I wouldn't call it discrimination, I won't call it any of that, but how accepting are they of others?
Okay, this is a touchy subject. Depends where you go. It's opening. It's more and more open. It is not easy. Lithuania is not very like you as a tourist. If you're a tourist, you're gonna be looked at as a tourist, and they will like you as a tourist or as an investor, as a business person. Now, to live there, I think there is a religious discrimination. Unfortunately, it is not like per se national discrimination, but it's a like sort of religious discrimination, and I think it has to do with the older generation and the restrictions that were faced on religious restrictions that were faced for many years under the regime of USSR. We're essentially not allowed to practice our religious freedoms at all. We're prosecuted for that. So so some of the other religions are not being looked at favorably because they probably are being looked as a threat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I thank you for your honest answer on that, because I'm aware of some of these, and not just in Lithuania, but in several part of the Baltic region and a lot of parts of Europe. And I guess it just give it a time and education, and people perhaps will change their minds on these things. Now, I know about tea. I know that Lithuanians can make tea out of grass, out of pretty much anything they find. They can make tea. So talk to us about that.
Well, we're naturopaths. What can I say?
Is that something that is fully present? Is there at every house, or it just depends on the region?
Not region, no. It depends how. I guess probably contemporary people, not as popular, they go and buy stuff. But yes, we do have even pharmacies for herbal teas. We have different teas, like a lot of different mixtures of teas of all kinds of, essentially go and buy by the weight, just get a little packet. So it's very, very popular, and it's healing. So it's not just you are randomly buying something. There's an expert telling you, about these things. So it's coming from old times again, pagan and really like we're nature, we're people of nature. So we know our nature. We definitely see our roots. I know that too, and I love that, and I use that here. Some of the things I cannot find here, I try to get from Lithuania as well. We love our teas, and we with honey.
Yes.
We have natural honey because we love bees. We definitely love bees. So
Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have tea, and also like you mentioned prior to that, we're talking about some of the spirits as well. So with spirit, essential alcoholic drinks. So we do put all kinds of herbs in alcoholic drinks as well. So they become very, very uniquely tasting. And there is the medus, for example, it's strictly Lithuanian. I had brought it here several times because you can only drink so much at a time, and it's not hard. They do have a hard liquor as well, which is harder even than you can import to US. But there is the medus is sweet. It's sort of a dessert drink, and it's a strength of the wine. So you drink very little. It's very sweet and has all kinds of herbs, and it's made out of honey. So
very good. How about food? Any particular dishes that we should try?
Lithuanians, there are very, very varied dishes and many national dishes that we're pride in. I had in my American life had to introduce people to my favorite dish because I do not like meat as much. So Lithuanian dishes have a lot of meat, and I'm not Lithuanian in that nature because I don't like it. So I think I would eat a lot of vegetables too. It's all natural. We don't eat much processed stuff. Again, the same thing goes to the roots, right? To the real stuff. And there's a lot of being herbs and being meat. It takes a long time to prepare dishes, but they're made from scratch. And so one of them is zeppelin, that's with meat, and or they call it zeppelin sometimes, but we even celebrate our Super Bowl time. We actually call it Zeppelin Day. So when we get together with our Lithuanian friends here, we make zeppelin. And zeppelin is a meat dumpling out of potatoes and meat, essentially meat inside and outside is potatoes. There's some innovation that we're doing sometimes. So I do it with mushrooms because I don't like meat. So we can make innovation, and some people make it with farmer's cheese. It's a little bit harder because it's harder to boil them in that it's a certain technology. You have to know how to make them. It takes a long time to make them, at least 4 hours about. So it takes time. And so I make it like for a large crowd only. And then another one that I have shared, it's a color of this marker, like pink. And it's made from beets and kefir. Very, very healthy. It's called a beet soup, cold beet soup. Mm-hmm. I love that. That is my favorite. You put eggs in there. You put cold boiled beets. It's very, very hearty and healthy, especially in Florida. But a lot of people are afraid to try it because it looks like Pepto-Bismol. So I would say, because it looks like that. Doesn't smell like that, of course, but some people are afraid to try it, and who tries it is like, okay, but it's really good for your because it has a lot of good bacteria essentially, because it has kefir, which is also a product of Eastern Europe. You do find right now them here in regular supermarkets. You don't have to look for very complex places to find them, and people acknowledge that because of the qualities.
Is there a Lithuanian restaurant here locally here in Orlando?
Lithuanian, in Orlando we don't have.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole Lithuanian club in St. Petersburg, Florida. So they do have a restaurant there, but this is in Florida.
Okay. I have two more questions, and then I'll give you the chance to give us the final remarks. What would be appropriate gift to take to a Lithuanian customer or a family or friends?
It's different from friends to the business. I would say
to business.
So if you're going to the business, definitely not the first time you're going, I would say, unless you are trying to do a business with a trade. Mm-hmm. If it's a trade business, you want to bring something that you're trying to trade, right? So that's that I would say. It has to be business related. It cannot be like a personal thing. If you are going to visit Lithuanians, something about your country, where you're coming from.
So any gift will be appropriate for our but in business, it has to be business related.
Business related. It's business related. It's just not customary to bring anything else. It's like a bribe. It's not looked favorably. A bribe or brag is not looked favorably.
Got it. Okay, because refrain from taking gift to a business client because it will be looked at as a bribe. Is that what it is?
Right. It has to be something really formal. Like again, if you wanna, if you bring something like more like a souvenir, right? Mm-hmm. That has to do with your company, if you're coming in the business, right? About your company or something that you're trying to bring to them, it has to be related to the business. So I'm not saying don't do at all. I'm just saying, if you want to really bring something, if you had the conversations prior, and you want to bring something as a token of, so they know what it is, not as I'm bringing a gift because I'm coming to you kind of thing.
Got it. Colors to avoid. Colors to avoid when we are given flowers or something.
Okay, so for flowers, there's in general colors to avoid. I wouldn't have any. But if you're talking about flowers, well, number one, there's a number. If you give even amount of whatever flowers that is, unless you're making like a little bouquet or a bunch of little flowers, then you're not going to count them. But if you're giving roses or something like that, you do not give even amount of roses. That's only given to funerals and and wakes. So it's essentially a sad, kind of like for the sad occasions. Otherwise, it has to be an odd number of flowers.
1, 3, 7.
Right. Yeah. So like a dozen, no, it's a no-go. It's to the funeral. And yellow, it's sort of open right now because I think it sort of came out of those colors already. But so red obviously goes to anytime, but like yellow used to be, and I don't think it's as popular anymore. Like people don't look at it that way anymore, I don't think, the younger generations. But yellow was also like a color of more to the wakes and things like that, because there's a lot of flowers, and in Lithuania we have a big funerals. So with a lot of flowers. So there are certain colors, and there's a certain way that those are displayed. So it's not the same. And so yellow, it would be one of the color I would say avoid as far as flowers go. Yeah.
That's a really good information you're giving here. Odd, refrain from yellow. It's so important because we definitely don't want to offend anyone or get into this suspicious or superstition mode where people are no. I had one last question, but it slipped my mind now. Gosh, well, I'll let you do your final remarks and tell us the holidays. I just remember, don't call Lithuanian on these holidays if you are doing business with them. Which holidays will that be?
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
That's it.
That's pretty much it.
Maybe New Year's Day also, but that's probably common because everybody's resting after a lot of celebration on Christmas on the New Year's Eve. But Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, those two are family, strictly family. And usually we have actually even like 3 days of Christmas, so everything is closed for like 3 days. But usually on the third day you can find someone. It's uncommon though.
Okay. As far as national holidays, any or
there are national holidays, but but if you are doing business and it's international, the Lithuanian people are pretty open about that.
Got it.
But those are very, very specific ones. I would say definitely no-go. Everybody shuts off the phones.
Okay, good. All right, well, it's been very informative, Jurad. Seriously, I learned a lot from this session today, and I hope our viewers do too. Tell us, give us your final remarks. What would you like us, if there's anything that would like us to know?
So Lithuanians are very open-minded, and they're open to hear and new and very, very innovative. If you're looking to doing business in Lithuania, I know the biomedical field is very advanced. It's one of the most advanced in Europe. Mm-hmm. And again, technology is really thriving there. And a lot of people don't know that about Lithuania, but it is. We have a lot of innovation and really great minds. Mm-hmm. Working on it. A lot of collaborations throughout Europe. Mm-hmm. We're in the European Union, so there's that we have as far as openness to the world. Mm-hmm. Lithuanians are not afraid to put in the work, mm-hmm. and so they're great partners. And again, Lithuania will be very, very personable and engaging with the people they are working with, but if there is visibility that they are being treated not fairly, mm-hmm. they're gonna be out without you blinking. not going to give you much chances.
Okay.
So
And you know what? When you mentioned that, then the question that I was thinking about came to mind, saying, okay, if I am a manager of a department when I have Lithuanians, what would be the best way to motivate them, and what would be the best way to help them perform at their highest level? But obviously, you answered the question: respect, have them engaged, and definitely respect their hard work and their intelligence, because they're coming from an environment where education is highly valued and regarded, and they may be holding a lot of degrees and speak several languages, right?
yes.
Yes. Shake hand, hug, don't touch me. Which one would I do when I meet a Lithuanian customer and a friend, or for personal reasons? Shake hand, hug, don't just say labas.
Shake hand, the distance.
Shake hand.
Yeah, but not like very close, like shake hand. That's when you meet.
Okay.
Hug is it's very close. We have I think most of Europe. We do have a little bit more of the personal distance, a little bit bigger than Americans are, and a lot bigger than Hispanic countries.
Got
so
it.
Shaking hands,
Shake hand.
formal.
Keep
And
it.
look at the eyes. Look at the
Look at
eyes.
the eyes.
Very important.
Keep a distance and smile.
Yeah, but
Yes.
look at the eyes. That's very important. Looking at the eyes is very, very important.
Huh. Smile or no smile?
Natural.
Natural. Just to be
Natural. The way
Okay.
it is. Lithuanians don't smile too much in the formal meetings.
Okay.
When you joke, they laugh, but they don't smile. So
No,
you'll see that. Yeah, it's a little bit Nordic in that, meaning a
that,
little bit
in
more
that sense.
cold. Mhm.
No
So-
cheek kissing like in Spain and France. None of
Yeah.
that. Shake hand. Got it. Okay. So when I see you next time, should I hug or just go like that?
Well, I live here for a long time, so I'm good.
Well, I really, really thank you. I really, really did enjoy the session. Murat. What I will say, achu. Right?
Prašom. Prašom is you're welcome.
Hashim is welcome.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay. A last sentence in your language.
What is it?
Say something in your language. Final sentence.
Well, I would say viso gero. That means there's actually viso gero means goodbye essentially, but it's not the exact direct translation. It's very specific Lithuanian. It means like I wish you well, kind of between goodbye and I wish you well. So it's all good basically, but it means very different. Viso gero.
So Gato.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't really have anything else to add. I think I had said everything.
Yes, you
everything
did.
pretty much.
Yes, you did. You gave us a pretty good information here for me, for anyone out there going to Lithuania or dealing with Lithuanians. Thank you so much. I do wish you well as well, and
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank
Obrigada.
Bye-bye.